If you're willing to that, to Andy Harrison and others, I know that you are helping the youth in the area, but what are you going to do for the elderly and disabled who form 51% of the public?
Lynn's quite right. Lynn's quite right. The fact is, there are a lot of elderly, there are a lot of disabled up here. We do have a lot of youth as well. And part of the problems that the elderly and the disabled face is from the fact that we don't have enough youth facilities, so they actually get antisocial behaviour from the youth. So what we first want to do is tackle the youth. But we do have to tackle the elderly, we do have to tackle the disabled. That's why I'm involved in things like CLIP, because at the community learning with CLIP, there are projects that they do try and put together. One moment, let me finish. There are things that they do try and put together for people going on there. They do try and encourage community groups. I mean, for instance, you have got...
They don't encourage community groups.
Well, CLIP does try and encourage community groups.
Give me the microphone, I'll give you an example of why they don't encourage.
They do one course.
I think...
What you're on about, sorry. Still, like, there's two aspects to CLIP. Okay, there's two aspects to CLIP. There's two aspects to... No, there's the community and learning in Penhill. The learning in Penhill is about certain courses that are run. The community in Penhill is in fact about some of the social events. Now, I'm not alone, and the chair is actually sat right opposite you, and she will actually tell you at the last meeting we actually talked about having a subcommittee that actually starts up social events for older and disabled people on the estate, and that is part of something we discussed at the last meeting, because we know we need to do it.
I think at the end of the day you've got to give the chance for the person to...
In the past...
Go ahead, Andy.
And up until just recently, all the learning events that have happened in Penhill have been aimed at people outside of the area, because they won't let people in Penhill come to more than one learning event.
I've got to just... First of all, what I have got to say is, first of all, community and learning, when we get money for the courses, okay, that is done because of the government rules. It's the government that makes the rules on what we get the funding for. I might add, recently I was part of a successful team, along with the chair, along with another community worker. We successfully bid for and got £38,000 of targeted support funding for helping people back into work. Now that was primarily Penhill people.
We're going to have to cut this a little bit long short. We've got a lady over here on the same thing. Try to remember that you cannot be heard on the radio side until there's a microphone. Until that, we will get back to you because there's a lot of people on it, but remember that Laura Baker has still got to have her opportunity to reply on that. So what I will do is I will go to the floor over there, Lorna, to Anvil, I believe. You raised your hand.
Yeah, Andy very well fielded that question. It was indeed to do with government funding, and the reason we were given the money at CLIP, it was to attract new people who'd never been on any of our learning things before.
Okay, now I'm really going to have to give to Laura a fair chance because we've got that. Andy, you won't be heard unless I've got the mic. Okay, Laura, I'll give you a spell on that one.
Years ago there used to be an organisation called Silver Threads, and my grandma was part of that. I would like to see something like that again for the elderly people of Penhill. They used to go on trips, they used to have bingo evenings, dance evenings, you name it, they did it, and it kept them really young. There's not enough, it is a two-edged sword. There's not enough for young people to do, there's certainly not enough for elderly people to do. And also, if people lose their pensioners' bus passes, there's going to be even less for them to do and get out and see. So that's what I'd like to sort of try and initiate, really, like a Silver Threads, something like that for the elderly residents of Penhill to get involved with and really enjoy, get themselves out there and be young at heart again, not stuck in on their own, not speaking to anyone for days on end. But the only problem with that is police checks. People that volunteer for these things have to have police checks again and again and again. So that's the red tape we have to get around. But that's what I'd like to see, something like that.
Okay, now I'm going to remind everybody now, because we've still got some questions. I know you're passionate on the floor at the same time. Is there a return on the floor at all? On the Hobson side? Because you wanted to speak?
Yeah.
Community learning in Penhill. Sorry to go back to this, Andy and Laura, but what's happened in the past, and just recently, they've opened up courses for people to come up there, and the courses have been thrown out to the public in the general area. The trouble is, they'll come to one part of the course, and they won't appear again. So that money that's been put into that, to that fund to supply those courses, you'll get 100% turnout for the first part of the course, and then you'll get about 60% turnout for the next part of the course, and then for the next part you'll have 1 or 2 people. Now what we're saying is that people in this community, we all can learn from things like that, and it would be quite easy for them to phone people up to fill those places up. But we're not doing that. And that must be a waste of money for whoever's providing that funding.
Andy, I quite agree with you. The point I'm trying to make to you, and I don't think you're actually listening to what I was trying to say, is CLIP don't make the rules. When we get targeted or learning funding, we have to work to the government rules. And it's the government that makes the rules that says if you've been on one course, you can't go on another. Now, I think that's stupid, but we have to apply the rules that the government put for us getting the funding. Because if we don't apply the rules of the way in which we get the funding, we don't get no more funding. You know, I think government rules. It's wrong. The government's wrong. You've got a chance on May the 6th to change the government. It's up to you to make that choice.
I think, with that in mind, that Laura needs to have some sort of contribution to that reply. Laura.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't know enough about this issue. I will be perfectly honest and hold my hands up. But I think that if people want to come out to these courses, they will. You know, are you saying that they've signed up for all of these courses, or are you saying that they are not allowed to join these courses, these additional courses?
If they've done one course in Penhill, they're not allowed to do another one of a similar type.
In their lifetime.
In their lifetime. And that's how it's worded. And as Andy says, it is the government funding that causes the problem. But the thing about it is, it's a waste. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of those students' time.
Because you'll only get the same sort of people wanting to sign up for these
things. More importantly, it's actually a waste of an opportunity for a person to personally develop and improve himself by going on a series and a succession of courses.
Okay. We're going to go to Dot, please.
As Andy's already dropped my name in it, as chair of CLIP, we all wanted to go on this course. We had this run by a new college, filled in this form, but because we're financially inactive, we were barred.
No, because we weren't.
I think, okay, Andy, you know more about that. Well, again, just go
I've got it in 2 short sentences. Processes that are wrong don't work for people. Simple as it goes.
Okay.
What's your #1 priority for Penhill?
I think, and it's not political really, it's to actually get more people active. A lot of what we've talked about here today we could get for Penhill if we had more people fighting for it. In particular, elderly persons groups were mentioned, like Silver Threads. What stands between us getting it and it actually happening is more people coming out and offering to do the community work. And Penhill has an excellent record of community work.